Hey, welcome to video number 2. This is about the sun in Sagittarius, and as usual, I'll talk about the transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius, and then I'm going to outline some aspects, including, and then the 2 lunations, of course, and we'll do a little screen share, so we'll look at the charts. The sun in Scorpio, the digging, the searching, the looking under the surface, the digging through the drawer for the little nuggets of gold and truth, the wondering why things happen as they do, the curiosity, the unending, insatiable quest to understand something, the unending, insatiable quest to connect with something or to control something within you or outside of you. Scorpio is about all these things, and there is a definite consuming and or penetrating and or sexual quality to it. There's a definite intensity. There's a definite needing to connect in the deepest, most intense way. Now, as we find out during Scorpio that our conscious, as I talked about in the first video with Pluto-Venus square Jupiter and Libra in Capricorn at the beginning of the month, you know, Jupiter and Libra square Pluto-Venus and Capricorn, things from under the surface get activated with these Plutonian energies. And we find out that this thing we keep doing is actually inspired by something under the surface that we didn't know was there, and oh my God, now I don't know, I know it's there, I don't know how to deal with it. It's very, you know, the search for truth in Scorpio is humbling, because you see that you can do anything. You can lie, you can cheat, you can steal, you can kill, you can do, I'm gonna say these things and most of your, all of you probably are like, no. But Scorpio is where we find out that we contain all human motivations. We contain all human potentials. All the time, and it's a sensational thing. I remember watching The Making of a Murderer on Netflix a few months ago, and we wonder how people can kill people. We wonder how this, you know, we typically have parts of us walled off so we don't have to know that we could do that too. So finding that out and realizing that can be very humbling. But that's kind of the end of a super long process. And all the time we're like, you know, we're backtracking and going down to the depth and coming back, and we're like doing this whole thing. We're going 4 steps forward and 10 steps back because we're frightened or we're overwhelmed with a feeling of something that we don't know what to do with. And when we actually get to that place and we say, oh, that's what's really happening here, or oh, that's what I was afraid of, or give voice to an emotion of any kind, an intense emotion that's been shoved under the surface. When we actually get to that point, it's very humbling. And the method of Scorpio is to search and penetrate and push and go, 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 go to get to the truth. And once the truth is had, there's always a pause. Oh my God, look at that. A lot of times there's an unend, okay, well great, why is that the way it is? But there can be a change of rhythm and a pause and a relaxing when that you know, climax is reached. The climax of the search for the truth about why things are the way they are, that intensity. A lot of people living Scorpio stories may, well, do fear what is within them. And while the sun's in Scorpio, we get to see probably small, minor, not intense examples of what we're made of, and these things we don't really want to look at. And it's incumbent upon us to own the truth that we contain all human potentials. So I want to talk about this idea of control, controlling others, controlling self. If Scorpio people or people living Scorpio stories control others, it's because they're afraid of losing control themselves. We all know about kind of power over power under dynamics with Scorpio energy, which can result in intimidation and abuse and manipulation and using people. And, you know, we all know about those things, but to understand that the person is controlling another person in order to somehow assert control over the self. It's expressing a fear that the person can't control the self. That's a secret to Scorpio energy. You know, secretive, don't want to be seen or known. This is all about control. As a Scorpio, I don't want you to see what really makes me tick. I constantly talk about, what makes me tick, and I get totally embarrassed. My guides have stopped nudging me to share personal stories as much. And so I'm taking the opportunity not to do that as I deal with some deeper things. But for years, they were like, oh, tell that story. And I'm just trusting them and telling them. And all kinds of people come out of the woodwork and say, that you shared that story made a big difference to me, and here's why. And so it was gratifying in a way, but I felt like I was talking about my secrets. And Scorpios don't want to do that. So when the sun's in Scorpio, we have to look at that. We have to look at what our relationship is with the subtext, with the things that we know about ourselves that nobody else knows, the things that we're embarrassed about, the things we're afraid to share with people. So that's the kind of terrain of Scorpio. Deep, intense, psycho-spiritual, sexual, emotional terrain that's super deep and intense. And then we go to Sagittarius. it's just like every adjacent sign pair, it's radically different. All the way around the wheel, they're radically different. So whenever the sun changes signs, and that's why I take the time to explain this every month, the transition, because you're talking about, an element changes, but you're also talking about what astrologers traditionally have called masculine and feminine. You might say active or receptive, directing versus receptive. Think of internally focused versus like outgoing or externally focused. So Scorpio is one of those internally focused ones, and now suddenly Sagittarius, make noise, make merry, have a drink, eat that extra sandwich, whatever it is, like bigness, believe in yourself, take a risk, celebrate, whatever it is. So Sagittarius is about expansion. My idea in this, circle of the zodiac is that when you get to see what really makes you tick and you start to own what you think are monsters within yourself, the Scorpio process, when you make a contact with and then, sorry, my nose is itching. So then you make contact with and then make peace and friends with parts of you that you're afraid, you're embarrassed to look at and express, then you know yourself better. So your foundation is stronger. You know what makes you tick. You know that when you do blah, 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 you're really trying to get blah, blah, blah. When you know that, then you can turn around and step out and expand and reach out. And that's a Sagittarius idea. So long distance travel, belief, expansion, faith, hope, taking risks. It's belief in yourself. It's self-confidence. A lot of Sagittarius is about self-confidence.